All right, I want to start off with saying Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahweh Shai who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And I just want to do a quick video, just to give a couple thoughts, on some circumstances that's going on right now. One thing I was looking at, man, is dealing with, this whole crisis right now, going on over there, with this invasion, right? One thing to take note of is, around the world right now, as I speak, there's protests being held. People are rioting, even in Moscow, right? Even in, the capital of Russia. People are taken to the streets there, because they're not, with what their political leaders are orchestrating, right, or carrying out. Even they're against it. So what they're doing over there is those people that are, demonstrating in the streets, they're being arrested. I believe, if you do the research on it, the first day, that people were out there rioting, there was 1,100 people that were arrested. Maybe 2,000 people, you can look it up, right? But at least 1,000 people, were arrested on the first day of the protest, man. So what does that bring to mind? One of my personal favorites. The second Ezra's, the 9th chapter, says what? Starting from verse 1, it says, "When you shall see earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then you will well understand that this is the same time when the Most High will begin to visit the world." Right, so right now we're in the year 2022. Hey, look, man, the Lord is visiting the world right now, man. And He's been visiting the world for a number of years, of course. That's why you always have all these UFO sightings, right? Because, we know that those UFOs are actually the, the chariots, right? So we know what those are. Those have been happening, for how long, right? Before YouTube was even around, people were citing those. But, within the last 2 years, the rate at, the rate that these things are being seen is dramatically higher than the years prior. Meaning what? They're making more visits. I'll give you a perfect example. The other day, during this invasion, somebody was watching the TV set and they happened to notice that if they pan the camera to the background, behind these buildings that they were focusing on, you can see there's literally a fleet of UFOs back there, right? Those, they call them orb UFOs, or tic-tac UFOs is what they call them, which are basically like white orbs that you see in the sky. They call them tic-tacs or orb UFOs. And of course, the word UFO means an unidentifiable flying object. Rest, they don't know what the hell it is, but we know, though. Those are actually, the chariots, right? God's angels are inside of those crafts. That's what they use to maneuver, to get around, down here on the earth when they, make their visits. That's in Ezekiel, the 1st chapter, Ezekiel, the 10th chapter, many other places in the scriptures, speak about them chariots, man. Okay, but that's a spiritual thing. Because why this invasion's going on, you have literally a whole army, right? A whole 40, 50 UFOs just hovering there in the sky in the background. Why this invasion is underway. And it's real. You can look, I believe I shared it on my community section. Head over there and you can check it out. I put a clip up there. I shared the link to the video. You can check it out. So it ain't fake. It's real. So that's a faith booster, man. Going back to that scripture, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, this is the same time that the highest will begin to visit the world. Right, so the highest, which is who? Yahweh, down to his only begotten son. And then the angels, they're making their presence known right now, man. Right, they're making their presence known. So we in the truth, we know what's going on. Okay, we have a clear picture of what's going on, man. And somebody asked a question yesterday, and I want to address this. Somebody made a mention and said, well, this guy said, New World Order. And really, when I said that, I understand that, we're already living in the New World Order. That's why they said this is the New World, right? When Christopher Columbus came over here, this is considered to be the New World, right? So they did away with the Old World, and this is the New World. All right, but you have to understand this is actually God's New World Order, is what they're ushering in. Why? Because I'll show you. Revelation 17, verse 17? It says what? That the Lord's going to put it into their minds to agree and to fulfill his will. And what's God's will? The Most High's will is to bring these nations out of rulership. Now, specifically America, Babylon the Great. But the other nations are going to fall as well. It tells you that in, Revelation, the 16th chapter. So, just to address that, is their new world order is actually the Most High's, New World Order. That's what he wants to bring around, right? To bring this current establishment down and to bring in a new system of government. Okay, so the Lord put that evil imagination into their mind, right, to try to, kill a large portion of the human population. Like if you ever looked at this thing called the Georgia Guidestones, you can look them up. But the number one commandment on the Guidestones is to keep humanity in line with nature, which is, it says that they want to bring the population of the earth to 500 million. Okay, so they have to kill, let's just say there's 8 billion people alive today. Let's just say that. It could be a little more, could be a little less. Let's just say that. So 8 billion people, that means they're looking to wipe out over 7 billion people. 7.5 billion people got to go. But guess what? The Lord's the one who put it into their mind, because that's God's will, is to do that. According to the Bible, that's God's will, is to bring down these empires that are in dominion right now. He gave them their time to have dominion, but now we're in the time where he's going to pluck them up. Right, Daniel 7th chapter, 2nd Ezra is the 4th chapter. If we go to verse, it's either 27 or verse 37, and it tells you that the Lord have given all these empires a certain time period to rule, and he's not going to intervene, in the time that he given them. So I'll give you an example. If he gave them 400 years, he's not going to interrupt it at 360 years. He's going to let the 400 years play out. If he gave them 500 years, he's going to let the 500 years play out. He's not going to interrupt it, in the middle, just to, just because he wants to. He's not going to do that. The Lord's going to, keep to his word. He's going to let them have the time that he given them. But then once that time is expired, then your time's up. That's simple, man. Same thing with ourselves. And I believe, what is this? I believe it's, I want to say, what is it? Luke, the 12th chapter, if I'm not mistaken. But there's a parable about, a very wealthy man, who he wanted to bestow all his riches, right? So what he did is he torn down his barns and he, created a even bigger, storage house so he could, store up his wealth, for many years, right? So he could sit back and enjoy his life, with the wealth that he accumulated, throughout his life. But if you read it, it tells you, that's a foolish thing, because guess what? His life, was going to be required, that night, man. So he went through to do that, and he went through all the trouble of laying up all these treasures, for years, that he could, enjoy and, live off of, but then, when he went for all the trouble to do that, the Lord was like, hey, you fool, tonight your soul's going to be required from you. Meaning what? That he was going to die that night. The Lord was going to take his spirit from him. Meaning what? That he was going to go to sleep. He was going to die that night. That's why it brings to mind, what is that? I want to say 1 Timothy 6 and 7 says what? We brought nothing into this world. Therefore, we brought nothing into this world, and it's certain that we can take nothing out. Having food and remnant, to let us be there with contempt. It doesn't mean it's wrong to have wealth or do good for yourself. It doesn't mean that's wrong at all. It's just, we're not looking to, to build ourselves up on this side, man. We're not looking 20 years in the future. We're not looking that far into the future. Why? Because we understand that, this place don't have that long left yet. I mean, hell, man, from what I'm seeing right now, it really looks like we could be out of here either by the end of this year or the next year, man. And again, no man knows the day or the hour. So don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting on here like what the Mind of Golf did. He said that, by January 1st, 2022, Christ is going to return. We're not on there saying that. As the scriptures say, that no man knows the day or the hour. So we're not on here saying that. But what we are saying is that we're in the time period that it's going to happen. We're in the period of time when the event's going to take place. So we don't know the day or the hour that's going to happen. We don't know that. But we know that we're in the season that it's going to happen. Okay, so that's why, Yahushua, right, who people call Christ, he gave signs, to look out for that would, explain that he's about to return, man. And we're seeing those things. Going back to the scripture I quoted, one of my personal favorites, 2 Ezra 9, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then you'll understand at this time, it's the same time that the highest will begin to visit the world. Right, so we know the highest is visiting the world by what we see, going on down here on the earth. Then also, because the scripture said that in those times there would be signs, shown in the heavens above. We see all types of, amazing events happening in the sky. You have all these UFOs being sighted, right? So-called asteroids people are recording, right? Or shooting stars, unexplained things in the sky. Last year, if you were lucky enough to see it, I seen it myself. But last year, next to the moon, there's a small white object that was sitting there by the moon for like 3 days. Right? And it's real. I seen it with my own eyes. It hasn't been seen ever since. But for 3 days, it was sitting there right next to the moon. Nobody knew what the hell it is. Right? So brothers around the world, took videos of it. So we know what happened. The mainstream scientists, won't really talk about it because they don't know what it is. But that's just part of the signs, man. That's an unexplainable sign in the sky. Right? That nobody knows what the hell it is, which we know what most of these things are. Right? We know a lot of the things that we're seeing as far as these unidentifiable flying objects. We know what those are. Those are the chariots. Those are, what the angels are going to return on, man. Right? Isaiah 66:15. And another thing as well, man, is people are not going to expect to see the Lord. It tells you that, I believe that's, what is that, 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, if I'm not mistaken. It says that that he's going to return to the astonishment of all that dwell upon the earth. Right? Nobody today, for the most part, is looking for Christ to return, or who they call Christ, because we know his name is Yahweh Shai. But the word Christ just means like a master, right? Or the Messiah. So, most people aren't expecting the Christ to return. And even those guys who are, even the guys who are looking, they're looking for this white Jesus figure to come down out of the sky. But we know, according to scriptures, that, Christ is actually a so-called black man, and he's going to return, on these UFOs, man, according to the Bible. You see, your church pastor ain't going to tell you that. Why? Because he doesn't know about that. Right? The understanding of the scriptures was not revealed unto these, just phony baloney, pork chop eaters. And that's what most of these pastors are, man. Got Christians talking about that you can't drink alcohol, right? That is a sin to drink alcohol. It's like, well, where the hell you come to such a conclusion at? Where the hell is that at in the scriptures? There's plenty of places where Christ drank wine. Oh, what about this? What about in Matthew 26? Christ told the apostles that I'm not going to drink of the fruit of the vine until I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. Oh, not to cut the Primal Man, because you got cats out here like Primal Man who are teaching that that the kingdom of God is not a literal kingdom that's going to come, here on earth, but it's rather like a metaphorical spiritual kingdom. So he's saying we're living in the kingdom of heaven today, here on earth. And he's not even being sarcastic with that, by the way. He's being dead serious. He's not joking around. He's being dead serious. If you go on his page, that's what he's teaching. And he has a lot of people on there who believe it, or somewhat believe it. Because when it comes to preterists, you have two types of preterists. You have a full preterist, which is somebody who believes that all things in the scriptures, including the kingdom of heaven and the second return of Christ, they believe all those things have been fulfilled. Then there's another group who believes that some of the events happen, like they call themselves a partial preterist. So you have a full preterist and a partial preterist. The one believes everything's happened. The other one believes some of, but not all, has happened. So you got to make the, what's the word I'm looking for? Distinction, for lack of better words, between the two. Let me see. But yeah, man, it's it's crazy what's going on. Oh, and speaking on the whole Russia-Ukraine situation, which is what I opened up with. I mean, hell, man, for everything we're seeing, it really looks like this is going to be the situation that draws the world into the next global war. And again, none of us have a crystal ball that we can see the future, and none of us have that. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen next week. We don't know. No, we're just watching. We're watching the news, keeping up with world events. We're keeping ourselves occupied. In them prophecies, man, you got to watch. You have to watch the events that are taking place around the world. Right? You have to be doing that. So we shouldn't be sitting here trying to, figure out, oh, well, what's, is this fake news or bullshit like that? Cats are on here talking about, oh, well, I can't believe the news, right? None of that's real. Guys will still be there trying to tell you that, the leader of Ukraine and Russia, they're friends behind the scenes, right? But they're just like, put it on the show. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, man. And if it's not, how could they prove it? And the answer is they can't, because it's all the speculation. But it's getting serious down there. Like, I'll give an example. you know, the EU, right? They're sending over, you know, military equipment. They don't want to send their troops over, of course, because, you know, obviously, you know, that would, you know, bring about the next world war, is having the, you know, EU troops, you know, face off with the Russian troops. That would escalate it to World War III. So they want to try to avoid that. So they're trying to send over, you know, artillery and, you know, rations for the people over there, and, you know, missiles and whatnot. But Russia's not going to have that. In fact, I heard something earlier that, you know, Putin has given his army the permission to, if they see these supplies being brought in, that they have the permission to take them out. They have the, you know, the permission to bomb them. You know, so it's getting serious over there, man. And he made a threat. If you remember, when the invasion first started, he said that, you know, if any nation gets involved, you know, you're going to be met with serious consequences. Then the next day, he said that he put his nuclear arsenals on high alert, meaning what? They're ready to go. They're ready to shoot them off. Okay, so, you know, it's getting serious over there, man. Because you got to be watching. You know, we ain't in the time, you know, to be debating about, you know, whether dinosaurs exist or whatnot, because that's what cats are out here talking about. You know, they'll be out here, you know, trying to say that, oh, well, dinosaurs don't exist. You ask them, well, how do you know exactly? Like, how exactly do you know they didn't exist? You ask them, they don't know. They're just repeating something they heard on the internet, right? That they're just repeating what they heard on YouTube, right? So that's, hey, just like, what's this guy? Eddie Bravo, from the guy that goes on with Joe Rogan, right? He said, they make a joke about it. He was like, oh yeah, I did my research, right, on YouTube. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you can't, you know, get research and information off the internet. Obviously, that's why it's there. But you have to be careful with who you're listening to. You got to be careful with who you get your, you know, your information from. I'll give you a perfect example. What is it? The Moscow, right? The Russians, they're telling their people that, you know, we pretty much don't have very many, you know, casualties, you know, during this operation. And they don't even call it a war. They call it an operation, you know, and they don't really show their people what's going on. They ban social media over in Russia, so the people can't see the devastation that's taken place, you know, in Ukraine, because they don't want the people to see what's going on, right? So that's why I said, you know, you got to be careful, man. All right, because stuff like that, they hide the information. I'll give you a perfect example. The whole flat earth thing, you know, a guy like myself who's been around for a number of years, you know, I remember back in 2015-16, you know, if you looked up flat earth on YouTube, you get a fair search. You get videos that debunk it. You got videos that prove it. You got videos that are on the fence about the subject, right? You have videos that can give you proof for it, but you also have videos that give you proof against it. It's an even playing ground. However, if you look it up today, it's totally shadow banned, right? For the first, you know, 100 pages of the search, you know, flat earth, the only videos you're going to get are people trying to, you know, debunking it, you know, videos saying how stupid this idea is. That's all you're going to get. You're not going to get any videos. You're not going to get not one video that gives a compelling argument for the theory. You're not going to find not one. That's called shadow banning. Now, why the hell would they do that if they were not trying to conceal something? And you got to think about that. Why the hell would they go out of their way to hide something if there's nothing to it, right? If it's just such a weird idea, you know, why take the time out of the day to restrict the search results for the subject matter. That don't make no damn sense. The only thing that would make sense is if obviously they're trying to hide something. They don't want people seeing it. Like with the NASA screw-ups, you got to look hard for them, man. Really, the only way you can come across those videos is you got to know somebody who has the link to it. You got to know the channel that uploaded it, and then you can find it on their page. You can't really look up the the video name. You won't really find it unless you look up the exact video name letter by letter. If you get one off, it won't come up, or something like that. So they're shadow banning it, right? They don't want people to know about this information. So it just shows you, man, how backwards this place is. So here it is on YouTube. This shows the hypocrisy. You literally have music videos that show that literally say what's the word I'm looking for, because I gotta watch the words I use, but literally saying that they want to bring violence on this person or that person, or whatever, promoting all types of so-called illegal activities. All of those are okay to have on the internet. However, us, putting up videos that get maybe, 50, maybe 100 views, that talk about, the scriptures or certain events in the world. We're not allowed to do that, though. But yet these gangster songs or whatnot, they can be put on the internet, right? Speak about all these abominable things, get 500 million, a billion views. That's perfectly okay, though. That's perfectly okay. Like this cat, what's the hell this guy? This guy that was selling the Satan shoes that sold for $666, right? $666. And the shoes themselves have a drop of human blood in the shoe. Look it up. Right? It's real. And of course, they only had 666 pairs available. Right? So that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine, to be put out there. But here it is. We're somehow the bad guys, though. That just shows the hypocrisy. That's pure hypocrisy. I was listening to Biden earlier, just an hour ago. I only listened for 5 minutes. He was, having a speech live. But I was listening, and he made a statement about, how, oh, look, I'm here, to support, our fellow, transformer, Americans. You know what I'm talking about. Got to use code word. Have to watch the words you use. But he's on there like, oh, I'm here to totally, uplift, you and fight for your rights. And then they have the balls to mention the Most High, right? They'll mention, God, which we know God's just a title, right? That's not really the, that's not really the name of the Most High. However, we know when they say God, they're more often than not, we're quoting the God of the Bible. And that's what the people who listen, of course, think they're talking about. Right? But it just shows you. So here it is. They'll tell you that America is a nation under the Most High. But yeah, here it is. They do everything adverse and perverse to what the scriptures got to say. That's called hypocrisy. That's called hypocrisy. I'll give you a great example. In America, it's legal, right? You're allowed to abort a baby, right? You can't do that according to the scriptures. You can't do that according to the scriptures. And that's in what is that? Exodus 21:22, I believe. You can read it. But you can't do that. Or, they let men get with men, women get with women in this society. That's all viewed as okay here. You can't do that according to the scriptures. But here, in Babylon, right? The land of confusion, you're allowed to do all those things. That's all allowed, you know, here. But anyway, I think I'm going to call that the video there. I hope that was edifying. And I'm going to say shalom.